Hi Capricorn, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2021 love reading. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a bridging the gap spread. And the way it works is the cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. And we'll take a look at the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through all those, we actually pull some oracle cards to get some additional insight. That's where the bridging the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side we have the Lover's Path Tarot, on the right side we have the Tarot of Sexual Magic. Also keep in mind I'm going to be referring to the cards on the left as your energy, cards on the right as the other person's, but if you feel more like it's the other way around in your situation, then definitely trust that. Alright, so with all that away, we get started. Past energy on your side, we have the Four of Arrows, which is Libra energy, and the King of Arrows, which is Aquarius energy. So, two air energies in your past position, but what this could just be saying is you might have been healing from a situation. Now, for some of you, it could be with this person, or for others of you, it could just be saying you might have been healing from another connection from your past. And also, I feel like for the majority of you, I will say it probably was healing from another connection. And due to that, you were a bit detached and not necessarily too open toward a new connection. And past energy on their side, we have the Knave of Chalices, which is the equivalent of the Page of Cups, and the Four of Pentacles, which is actually Capricorn energy. So, to me, what this says here more than anything, if you look at the artwork here, looks like he's trying to write a letter of some kind, and we see, looks like he's crumpling up one ball of paper. There's already a couple already on the floor, right? We see that looks like a couple in the background, right? So for me, it could just be saying that, they might have been struggling figuring out what to say to you. So, I feel like there was that interest there, but they might have had a struggle around actually communicating what their feelings were. And with that Four of Pentacles, to me, that kind of reinforces that, especially given that this is Capricorn energy, which is what that's your sign basically. So to me, it says that they had like this level of intimidation to come toward you. Maybe because they felt your energy being very closed off in the past. Alright, in the present position, we have fertility. So this is actually the equivalent to the Empress card, which is usually I view it as Taurus energy. And of course, most of May we're going to be in Taurus season. And for you guys, it's actually your fifth house of romance, creativity, children. So, could just be saying that your energy is a lot more open now. But at the same time, more of a receptive energy as opposed to being the one who would initiate. For some of you, could be finding out you're pregnant as well. Do have to at least mention that, especially with this deck, given that it's called fertility. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm seeing there. It looks like a definite shift in your energy to where you're actually open to love now. And the present energy on their side, I have a few cards that came up here. We have the Tower, the Devil, which is actually the major arcana card for Capricorn, the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy, and the Knight of Chalices, which is the equivalent of the Knight of Cups, which is Pisces energy. So a whole lot going on there, right? So actually seeing their cards in the present makes me think for some of you guys might have actually been together, and there could have been a separation for sure. And the reason why I say that is, with that Tower card and then the card representing your energy directly beneath that, and then we see the Four of Swords for them, could just be saying that they're going through the healing process now too. So it looks like you guys probably healed from the situation faster than they did. And so to me, this is saying in the present, they're getting there. And I feel like this is saying once they do heal, they'll actually come forward to you guys. There's definitely more chaotic ways this energy could be playing out. Could just be saying, possibly they were in another connection and leaving a toxic connection in that regard. But whether this is just saying that, this was them healing from a past situation with you or leaving a toxic connection of their own, I will say with the Four of Swords and the Knight of Chalices being the cards to close out this position, to me I see it as they're moving in a positive direction either way. So that's what I see there. Alright, and in the future position we have Oppression, which is actually the equivalent of the Tower card in this deck, and the Eight of Arrows, which is Gemini energy. So, interesting how there's that shift there. Now, so the timelines seem a bit off with you guys. Like, you were in the Four of Arrows in the past, they were on in the present. They have the Tower in the present, you're in the Tower in the future. But yeah, I feel like there's okay, so it feels like there was definitely something up in the past, whether, like I said, this was you guys going through separate situations that were going poorly, or this was you guys directly having issues within the connection and then having a split in that regard. Looks like there's that openness that'll come by in the present, but then in the future position, seeing the Oppression and the Eight of Arrows, feels like it might be a bit short-lived. Now, what I will say, seeing these two cards in particular would make me say just keep an eye out for the Sagittarius full moon toward the end of May, because that's in your 12th house. So 12th house, sometimes you might not see things too clearly, and there's a potential for deception coming your way as well. And then Mercury will be just about ready to start its retrograde at that time too. So that could be a bit of a tricky energy to navigate. So for somebody, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. And the reason why I say that is just because in the future position on their side, we have the Eight of Wands. So this is Sagittarius energy here, speaking of which. And it looks like this is a much more open, light, playful energy, So, I mean, it's a bit hard to see what's going on with your reads relative to each other. Like I said, for some of you, it's that there were separate connections in the mix that were being broken apart, and for others of you, it looks like you guys might have already been together, had a split, and are possibly coming back together. But with the Eight of Wands showing up here, it does show that they're actually going to have that openness and willingness to communicate. Now, I will say, if they, in some way, cause some kind of a tower moment in the present, so let's just say, for example, at the time of recording this, we haven't had the Scorpio full moon yet. So let's say during the Scorpio full moon, they cause a tower moment between the two of you, right? And then they try to move past it really quickly, like, oh yeah, no big deal, but it might linger with you guys a little bit longer. Then that could be the issue where you might have an issue with them coming back around with that Eight of Wands energy, almost like nothing happened, so you might just feel like they're glossing over the situation a bit, if that's the case. But yeah, for most of you, like I said, I feel like you just got to watch out for these next couple of full moon cycles. Could be a bit tumultuous, but overall, it looks like you guys can move in a positive direction if you want to. Bottom of the deck on your side, we have the Justice card, so more Libra energy here. For somebody, this could be someone you might work with too, given that we see Libra energy a couple of times popping up. But yeah, this represents, the desire for balance. Maybe there was a physical distance between the two of you too, because if we look at the artwork there we go. There's like a guy behind the curtain, so that always makes me think that he's returning from some kind of a journey, and she was just focusing on work or whatever. So that could be what's going on there. And the bottom of the deck on their side is Three of Swords. So either way, it looks like this person was having a bit more of a rough go than you were, regardless of, like I said, if this was a situation you guys were in together that split apart, or you were both kind of going through your own separate karmic relationships. But next, we'll see what we get from the Oracle card. So first, we'll see if we get anything from the Aqua Moonlight deck here. And I'm looking for jumpers here. So first, we'll be looking for unspoken messages from you to them, and then from them to you. And if I shuffle for a while and nothing comes up, I'll just move on to the next deck. But sometimes we get additional messages here. Okay, nothing there, so we'll see if we get any from them to you now. Alright, nothing there either, so what we'll do is we'll move on to the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. And same situation here as far as I did pre-shuffle this deck too, but here we're just looking for one card with general advice and we'll wrap up. Alright, let me just put the deck down. We'll pull a card. So give me a few seconds to tune in. We'll pull one. Okay. Oh, take that one. Okay, so we have flexible. There's the artwork, and the number is 19. So we'll see what it has to say. Okay, it says teachability, open-mindedness, being adaptable without compromising what's most important. The Oracle's message: a tree's roots are solidly planted in the ground, yet its branches can bend in a hurricane, whereas a rigid structure, like a building, would come crashing down. Consider how the tree remains supple and secure when everything around it may be in shambles. This is how you need to be now, willing to learn new things, teachable, malleable, yet firmly grounded in who you are. Common sense is important, but so is an open mind. Stay curious, stay open, stay aware. At this time, others will be more flexible with you too. So, interesting message there. What stood out to me is where it mentioned, branches can bend in a hurricane, whereas a rigid structure like a building will come crashing down. So, of course, that immediately made me think of the tower, right, where it's a building structure. Here, we don't actually see a physical building structure in this deck, but that could be what the issue is for the two of you. And especially if you guys were coming from some kind of a separate heartbreak and different connections, could just be saying that this is the process of you guys kind of healing from those things and also trying to, release that and not be as rigid with each other. So it could be like the give and take there where you're kind of figuring each other out. And obviously that looks like it's definitely going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, don't get me wrong, but could just be saying that that's the key. The more rigid you are within the connection, then that can make it feel more like an intense tower type moment. Whereas if you're a little bit flexible and understand, okay, we're still growing, still figuring each other out, still recovering from whatever we went through in the past, it might be a bit easier. So hopefully that resonated with you guys. The relationship message says, in every relationship, it's important to be open to new experiences and learning new things. Letting go of rigidity is what's required right now. You don't always have to be right all the time, do you? It's okay to come to a happy compromise. You can still get your needs met. It's a beautiful day when you meet halfway. The appearance of this card in the reading could also signal that you have met someone new who may not be your type, but who will also turn out to be, but who will turn out to be so special that you can easily release your old ideas about what sort of partner is right for you. Be flexible. You'll be happy you made that choice. So interesting message there too. And in a way that also makes me think of the Tower card in a way where, maybe if you had this vision of how things should go, right? But then someone comes along that kind of goes against that idea. And, that might be a period of adjustment there, right? And we could see that could be what that Eight of Arrows energy is about there, right? Like not wanting to see what's happening around you, like these new things, right? Like, yeah, like, okay, I've had these ideas for so long about what it would be, and now it's something different, Now, I will say, given that you guys both have the Tower in your spread, I will read the protection message just in case that resonates for someone. It says, when you or someone else becomes too rigid, you lose the access to growth and untapped potential and find yourself in an us versus them scenario. Loosen up, open your mind and heart, and see if a more flexible approach feels better. Rigidity will set you up for a fight where there are only losers and no winners. Could you find a way to bring about a result that is mutually beneficial? Meet in the middle. Spirit makes a great mediator. So, interesting message there. And then, of course, the meet in the middle made me think of the Justice card. So, like I said, overall, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride, but I feel like that's primarily what it was pointing to, was saying, the less rigid you guys can be. Now, to be fair, it looks like they're going to be in that energy at a certain point, too. But in general, between the two of you, the less rigid you could be, the better things would go. So, hopefully that resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.